So I learned pretty early on in high school that having the right tool for the job makes all the difference in the world. I remember when I was a junior in high school, I was over at my girlfriend's house, who's now my wife, and they had just moved into a new place. And so my future mother-in-law, then girlfriend's mom, gave me a drill and said, "Hey, I need you to hang these pictures." I had absolutely no experience doing any of that, but I was the man of the house, and so it was my responsibility to figure that out. And so I spent all day long trying to hang pictures and hang fixtures and fix things to the wall, and I had never done that before. And my wife and girlfriend at the time was no help. She also didn't really know what was going on and what she was doing. And I learned that I can hang these things with a screwdriver, but having a drill makes all the difference in the world, and doing things with the right tool makes all the difference in the world. And so in the same vein, as we explore what it means and what it is to do digital ministry and lean into the hybrid nature of student and youth ministry, I have for you my ultimate hybrid toolbox. And in today's episode, we are going to be exploring my 5 must-have software things, subscriptions, and services that I use on an absolutely daily basis. So item number 1, also linked right here down in the show notes or in the description, in my 100% completely free ebook, The Complete Hybrid Strategy. I discuss and I talk about one of my favorite services, Opus.Pro. Now, if you have been listening to or subscribing to any of the stuff that I've talked about, I have been mentioning the importance of pre-filming your talks and your YouTube messages. I actually have a full playlist linked right here at the top of the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you can go and navigate to that, where we describe and lay out how to pre-film your messages, the strategy and the philosophy behind it. But one of the things is that once you have that full length, kind of like YouTube video or just full length, long form, widescreen based video, you can drop that into something like Opus.Pro. And what it will do is it will analyze the clip, and it will, with AI, it will generate captions on screen. It can give you some auto emojis. It can give you the relevant hooks. It can give you the capture, the title, the copy that you would put on your social media. It'll do all of it for you. It'll even analyze the virality score on it, and so how well the service thinks it's gonna do with creating viral shorts, reels, and TikToks. And so once I have that long form piece of content, I drop that video into Opus.Pro. You can drop a YouTube link, you can drop a Google Drive link, you can upload the file directly, and then it will spit out for you anywhere from 8 to 15, depending on how long the video is, shorts that you can use and you can utilize to then sprinkle all throughout social media. Opus.Pro is an absolute game changer. I used to create these things meticulously by hand and by scratch. I'd create 2 to 3 to 4 reels per week off of long form teaching content, but now with Opus.Pro, it does all of that for me. The second thing that I cannot live without, me personally, Nick Clayson, this may not be true for everybody else, is PowerPoint. I've been really familiar with the Microsoft Office suite, as much as I don't like Microsoft anymore. But growing up with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, I got really proficient at PowerPoint, and so I can bust out a graphic in PowerPoint really quickly. You can do all kinds of customizable sizes. You can save things as PowerPoints, as JPEGs, as PNGs, as PDFs, all kinds of different things. Even a friend of mine asked me, hey, what do you use to lay out your completely free ebook? And I said, actually, PowerPoint. I just built it the size of the pages, that needs to be 8.5 by 11. And I dropped all the graphics in that I had pre-designed in Photoshop, which we'll get to in just a second. And then I dropped them into PowerPoint, and then I export or save as a PDF. And so the fact of the matter is PowerPoint is pretty powerful. And yes, it is used for presentation, but it can be used for graphics. And I used that, early on as a youth pastor. I used it all the time before I ever used services like Pro Presenter, before I ever used services like Photoshop. I was using Microsoft PowerPoint. Don't sleep on it. It's pretty powerful. But the third thing that I think that you cannot live without, and I probably can live without it, but I think if you're getting started now, most youth pastors should not live without it. And frankly, it's Canva. And if you didn't know, Canva actually offers a nonprofit. You can get their pro version of Canva for free as a nonprofit. You just have to reach out to them, submit your nonprofit status and paperwork, and then you will get all of the pro features of Canva. And they have all sorts of different templates for graphics, templates for social media, templates for slide decks, templates for videos, templates for bumpers, like everything you could possibly imagine. And it's web-based. And so as a Canva Pro user, you also have the ability to create teams. And then within that, you also then have the ability to add members to your teams, and you can collaborate on different projects by sharing them across things. In fact, take a look at this graphic right here on screen. This was created in Canva in under 5 minutes. I think I did it in the previous tutorial. The Canva episode is linked down below in the show notes if you'd like to see me detail and lay out all there is to know and do with Canva. But I just made it quick while I was actually in the middle of filming an episode, just to kind of like create an on-screen tutorial. And the beautiful thing is that I can't tell a discernible difference between this and a graphic created in a more powerful program, or what might be deemed or dubbed a more powerful program. Which leads me to my fourth one, because what I would consider a more powerful program is anything under the Adobe Creative Cloud. I would be sunk. Like, this is probably the number one thing on my list for me. I would be sunk without the Adobe Creative Cloud. And this is a little bit of a cheater, because this has Adobe Audition, which records audio and captures audio for me, Adobe Photoshop, which creates graphics, Adobe Premiere Pro, which edits videos, Adobe After Effects, which makes on-screen animated graphics and stuff like that. You also have access to all other sorts of apps on the Adobe Creative Cloud. You'll get access to Adobe Express, which we have also laid out as a graphic option for youth pastors and for churches in previous episodes. But we got things like Illustrator and Lightroom and Adobe Anime and Adobe InCopy. I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of different graphics. And so the Adobe Creative Cloud is amazing. I do believe that there is a nonprofit discount as well. I think it's like $34.99 a month or something like that. You'll have to check out the pricing link down below in the description, which I have done after recording this. Don't have it right in front of me, but you can check that out and see what works for you. I will just say that you get oftentimes what you pay for. In Adobe, you can do anything that you want with Adobe. I sat down with an intern of mine this last week, and we were making graphics, and I was showing him how to do it in PowerPoint, and he's like, man, PowerPoint is so much easier than Photoshop. And I was like, yeah, it is for sure. And also, you can't do as much. You can do a lot more. And so if you're just looking to kind of get by, PowerPoint, Canva, check out any of those things in my budget, design playlist that's linked down below. But if you're looking to like level it up, like I could not do without Photoshop, or I could not do without Adobe Premiere Pro. I have either one of those two programs open any single day that I'm working on my computer. And the fifth and final thing that I use on a pretty regular basis is motionarray.com. If you haven't checked out motionarray.com, it has all kinds of different options. It has video templates, it has presets, it has motion graphics, it has stock video footage, stock music, stock sound effects, stock graphics, stock photos. Like, it has everything that you can do, all for commercial use, all for a pretty reasonable rate, a few $100 for an entire year's worth of a subscription to Motion Array. It is worth it. You will see things, if you're watching here on YouTube, you'll see things that are templates that I've used that I've gotten from Motion Array. And by downloading it from Motion Array and then pairing it and using it with things out of the Adobe Creative Cloud, I look like an absolute professional. And fact of the matter is, like, I don't know how to build all of these things, but these are presets. These are pre-done things for me. I just plug my graphic in, or I just plug my text in, and boom, all of a sudden this thing looks amazing. And I got it downloaded off of Motion Array, which is a fantastic tool, one that I super highly recommend. So you might be thinking, like, okay, great, I got all those things, or I'll check those things out, but like, what do you actually use to like film and create and make the content? Well, I'm glad you asked, because linked right here on screen is the second installment in this playlist, the Ultimate Hybrid Ministry Toolbox, where in this episode we talked about software. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at hardware, things like cameras, microphones, lighting, equipment. Check it out on the other side. Don't forget, as always, to stay hybrid.